Hello, I'm Dr. Nina Gilbert. I'm the Executive Director of the Morehouse Center for Excellence in Education, but I'm also the creator of this film and wore many other hats. I was inspired to start on this project because I was curious. I was really curious about why we were experiencing this shortage of not just Black male teachers, but there seemed to be a shortage of Black teachers, period. I knew that the stats were inconsistent with my lived experience as the daughter of two educators. So this notion that, we couldn't find Black teachers was just inconsistent with my own reality. And because my role at Morehouse requires me to recruit students who are interested in the profession. My previous role as an educator, I worked with Black educators. And even since coming to Morehouse, my colleagues who lead schools and districts were always asking if I could send my graduates to their schools and districts. It made me think really critically about, is this a pipeline issue, a preparation issue, or a policy issue? Then I knew that there had to be some type of historical component to this. And so just asking members of my family, members of my community who were older than I am, where are all of the teachers that you once taught with? What happened to them? And so while going on this journey of inquiry, I just started to hear so many stories that allowed me to see that it's not a pipeline issue. It's not a lack of interest from Black folks. There really were barriers put in place to prevent our access to classrooms.
Well, I teach at Clark Atlanta University, and I teach teachers, right? I'm really training the next generation of Black educators. And I was educated by Black people at Clark Atlanta University. And I was educated by professors who had grown up in segregated schools. And one of the things I remember so well was that their standard was so high. These were educators who believed in excellence on every level, the quality of what you do, the timeliness with which you submitted it, right? One's ability to speak and write well. I just remember having Black professors from segregated backgrounds whose excellence was so extraordinary. It beat any white teacher I had ever had. It really, really did. And I wanted to incorporate that standard in a new generation at a new time. And I pray that I'm doing that now. That's certainly my aim. And so that's how it really affected me, by really teaching me that there's a standard that Black teachers had. That's a standard of excellence, regardless of what America was doing, regardless of what American education demanded. And that standard, I think, has never been met in public schools in general.
And thinking about the goals of the Brown v. Board of Education decision, I understood that the intent was that our children would have access, Black children and families would have access to equitable resources, facilities, materials. We were not looking to belong in a system that did not want us to belong. What we understood as belonging is we are worthy of the same type of resources and opportunities as white children. When the court decision allowed us to now integrate into these spaces, we had access to those things, but we lost the feelings of acceptance, the affirmations that we received from our Black teachers. We didn't have the best facilities, but what we did have was a loving and supportive environment and community. We had excellent teachers, right? And so now to have access to things and stuff and opportunities without feeling that you were accepted and seen with your full humanity, I don't know if that's a good definition of belonging if you're not accepted in a space that you occupy. So I have allowed the folks who have participated in this project to share their own experiences about what it means to belong, their own definitions of belonging, because I don't think there's this kind of binary, monolithic response to what it means to belong. You know it when you feel it.
Belonging in the context of Morehouse College is very specific. It's more than what I think a lot of people think about belonging. within the context of Morehouse College, you cannot talk about belonging without actually tapping into the conversation about safety. And it's one of the things that my colleagues and I also found through our research specific to Morehouse College students. And we have interviewed several of them. And we were able to find it is very much matching with the literature that when you're talking about young Black men and Black men who are seeking educational opportunities, you cannot separate safety from the sense of belonging that they pursue.
I've been very concerned with the fallout of integration. I've been very concerned with what has been the cost of the merger of Black kids and white kids and all of the kids in these school systems. It's a great idea. The problem with integration, even in terms of integration of schools, is not the idea. The idea was a good one. The hope was for fairness and equity and equality. That's a great thing. The problem is that white people didn't want it. And because they didn't want it, for all practical purposes, we forced ourselves on them. And anytime you force yourself on someone, they resent you, right? They reject you. They try to find ways to demean you, because the truth is they don't want you, right? Because real integration means two people want the same thing. Not one person wants it and we're gonna make the other person have it, right? And I think that's what happened with integration. I think that's what happened, quite frankly, with school desegregation. I think one set of people thought that they would win by having the resources of another set of people, but the other set of people never truly wanted them and never truly believed that they would learn anything from them. And I think that's the situation we're in right now.
So my research centers around educational violence, specifically in naming it. So I define educational violence as both the physical and psychological attack that is perpetuated against Black communities, but specifically targeted at Black men as educators and as students. It includes not only the physical discipline, the suspensions rates, the lack of opportunities that exist for Black students in schools as well. And so not only are we actively and overtly criminalizing Black men, Black young men as students, and adulterizing young Black women as they are matriculating in schools, we are also limiting the opportunities. We are placing them in school conditions that are ripe for disruption. We are disproportionately placing them in special education spaces as well, without valuing the incredible talents that they possess as well. And so in understanding the level of structural violence that is indirect, that is systematic, and is placed in policies, educational violence is the direct conflict that is impacted or inflicted upon Black students, specifically in school. I think we oftentimes perpetuate the level of educational violence because we don't have our students, our pre-service educators, as prepared as we would like for them to be. We place them in roles that lead to their demise, such as being a dean or an assistant principal of discipline, and we also don't prepare them in thoughtful ways. And so some of the things that I think about, or strategies that I believe that are important, are specifically how do we make sure that Black male education practitioners are informed on the nuance of educational practice, that they are critically aware of what it means to perform instructional rounds, that they understand pedagogy and curriculum, and beyond that, all the things that they come naturally into schools with, that we're able to elevate that. So making sure that they are building relational trust, that they are building and pouring into their communities, but also if we're asking them to be in a teaching role that makes a livable wage, but it could be a lot more attractive. But what are the ways in which we are pouring into them academically and financially so that they're able to live a sustained life as well? But I also think about what are the ways in which we think about mentorship and the ways in which mentorship fails. I think oftentimes as Black men, we enter schools and the number one feedback that I believe that we get is we tell people to put their head down and just work hard. And I think that can't be any further from the truth, that there must be opportunities that we tell them how to deal with the level of grief and stress that comes with the role, and that we provide tangible and material coping strategies when they are in the schools as well. And so I think that there must be a way in which we teach institutions and organizations how to love Black men, how to welcome them thoughtfully into these spaces, how to develop them academically and intellectually, and that we provide space for them to be able to have the type of physical safe space and psychological safe space that they deserve and that they need to thrive in this work as well. I think a lot about being in a white community, in a white school setting. My brother being sexually harassed by white male students in his school as a fourth grader. And I remember being on a swim team and white students rolling a towel and whipping it at me in a shot, and after changing at a swimming meet. And I think about the ways in which my mother is looking to provide us opportunities and access by being more proximate to white opportunities, with the level of violence that comes with that, both psychologically and physically. I recall us walking home from a white school and our pockets being patted down, and the level of questioning of, is the academic opportunity worth the level of psychological and physical violence that comes, that is levied against Black students as well. I think that those experiences have shaped what it is that I think about offering Black children specifically, and being deeply intentional about what it is that all of this educational attainment and these opportunities are able to then provide to the people that I am looking to most often serve, which are Black children specifically.
There are many different creative elements in the film. Knowing that the audiences would be comprised of various age groups, we wanted to make sure that it was kind of intergenerational kind of appeal. So you'll see some scenes that have animation. So for younger audience members, that might resonate. Even with some of our older audience members, like they've seen the film and I love this animation, but I also knew that having the spoken word piece was important, right? Because it adds this element that might be somewhat unexpected, but it's also art. Including our students is always a part of the vision and the plan. Like, I do the work that I do because of my students. All that we do at Morehouse should be because of the students, right? And so having them participate in this was like a non-negotiable for me. And I shared it with the first production team that those folks that work with me, the people that I have the privilege of teaching, leading beside, those who have come before me, students who have matriculated through this institution, it is important that they participate in this process. Something else that was really important to me is that this did not get farmed out to entities and organizations outside of our community. And by community, I mean the Black community. We belong in all spaces, including film and entertainment, but not just entertainment for the sake of making other people feel some sense of enjoyment when they see us. In some cases, it's pure buffoonery. And in other cases, we're going to educate you and we're going to tell our own stories. And I knew that Morehouse was well equipped and well positioned to provide every aspect of production, every aspect of music composition and editing and crafty and catering and makeup and hair. We can do that. And so even in the storytelling, having our students to tell their story, that was important to me. So I learn as much from my students as they do from me. I think in some cases I learn more from them than they learn from me.
Hello, my name is Michael Simmons. I am an educational studies major, English minor from St. Louis, Missouri. I definitely think that being a student within the Morehouse Center for Excellence in Education has prompted me to become more critical about what it means to truly belong in a space. Am I merely tolerated, or am I accepted and welcomed? Are all of my viewpoints welcomed in this space? Is my criticism of this space welcome? And I think that that's truly what equity and belonging means. It's inviting in room for discourse, so people can truly become the most comfortable versions of themselves within a space. So I think that being in a program that encourages critical thinking, and being in a program that encourages belonging and equity at its root has truly helped to shape my definition of what belonging and equity means within a space, an educational space. I think that the largest challenge facing Black students today is the erasure of our history. This film is extremely relevant because it deals with the problems of the past, but it's almost a painful reminder of the challenges that we face today. And I think that if Black students were taught a more comprehensive, a more appreciative-based version of our history, one that values our achievements, one that values the resistance and the persistence that it took to overcome a lot of the challenges of the past that we see today, I think that we would recognize that we actually do have a blueprint of how to face the challenges of today. We just need to read, we just need to examine history with a critical lens, and be allowed the opportunity and the space to get a full comprehensive version of what our history actually is.
My name is Calib James. I'm an educational studies major with a minor in Chinese studies on the pre-law track from Silver Spring, Maryland. I would say my K-12 experience wasn't the best as far as like just the educators that I was surrounded around and like, taught by. I think it's really just like a cultural disconnect. Because in my specific county, I grew up in Montgomery County in Maryland, and it's the largest county in Maryland, and specifically where I was, it was a majority minority students, but we didn't have professors or educators who really understood us on a cultural level. Part of education, in my opinion, is being able to connect with the student on a cultural level, and then that's how you get them to be engaged and involved and really understand your content in the classroom. So there's just a big disconnect. I had experiences with teachers that, just did bad things. Like I had a 4th grade teacher, she tried to get the vice principal to scare me as a child because I acted up in class. I had a 2nd grade teacher who made me clean up my best friend's throw up. I had an educator in 12th grade who slapped me for trying to close a window. Just all types of stuff. I'm not gonna say I've been through the ring with educators, but I just haven't had the best experience. And so I think that's kind of what led me to go into education. I don't want that same experience for other students that look like me. And then when I got here to Morehouse College, my mind was completely blown. Interacting with teachers and professors like Dr. Gilbert, Dr. Moody, Dr. Miller, Dr. Outler, all these professors that really want the best for me, that are teaching me the best quality education, and really connecting with me on a cultural level, really made my view on education change. Because I wanted to take these experiences that I've got to have and give those to other students. So I had this class called Advocacy in Urban Schools. And that class really changed my perspective on how I can advocate for students when I leave Morehouse College, and what I can do to change the landscape of education for them, make it more inclusive, make them want to be there, but also teaching them content that really will change the way they think. And Dr. Outler, it wasn't necessarily something that he specifically said, but it was just the type of classroom environment he created. We read 2 books, Pedagogy of the Oppressed and Viral Justice by Ruha Benjamin. She's a Spelman alum. And every day we would come into class, we might have a quiz, but we would sit there for 3 hours straight just having an intense dialogue about the content that we read, different concepts, and things that we can do to break down barriers for students like us so that they can get a quality education and be excited to just be in the classroom space. So after Morehouse, I want to go to law school. I want to get my JD, and I want to go into educational law, representing students in civil cases within the classroom, or things that happen within the classroom and education space. And eventually I want to get into politics, go into educational policy, just changing current policies, whether that be at the district or federal level, district or federal level for students, so that they can just have a more inclusive environment and get the funding and the resources that they need to get an education. So that's what I see myself doing, just advocating for communities.
I will utilize my education to impact my community and encouraging somebody. If only one person, I feel like my job was done well. But to encourage somebody that it's okay to dream and it's okay to dream big. I think that the biggest gift that my education has given me is an imagination that is not confined to the oppressor's imagination. It's not confined to what white supremacy or what capitalism would suggest is successful, especially for somebody that looks like me. But my education has given me the courage to dream. It's given me an audacious hope. It has given me a selfless imagination that really is fully invested in seeing this world be better than the one that I came into, and to leaving it that way. I think that the film is revolutionary in the fact that it really ties us to our history in a way that's tangible, in a way that's seeable, in a way that's relevant. And I think that it really serves as encouragement to us future educators, to us current educators, to keep going, and that the struggles that we face today are nothing that we haven't seen before. And that, again, if only we would look to history, we would recognize that there's a blueprint of how to, the power of education, and we can recognize that our education has always been so much more than simply being able to regurgitate facts. It's something that has liberated us in the past and will liberate us in the future. So I'm really appreciative to have been a part of this project, and I just really hope that people walk away feeling encouraged.
I hope for two things. One of the things I hope for is that we as Black people come to understand one thing, and that is that better resources does not necessarily mean a more transformed mind. Sending kids to a school that is wealthy, sending kids to a school where the resources are better is a great idea, but it does not necessarily send a child to a place where they will learn to love themselves, where they will learn to look in the mirror and see God. See, resources can't do that. Only self-love can do that. And in order to do that, you have to have instructors. If the ceiling is leaking, right? If the bathrooms don't work half the time, if the Wi-Fi is spotty, but the teacher loves him or herself, those children will thrive. And I have learned, and I think it's important for us to see since Brown versus Board, that it might have been better for us to stay in those dilapidated schools with teachers who cared about us. Because the outcome now, most of our kids have gone to public schools, but what has become of them in those public schools, right? Many of us are not proud of and we're not proud about. And I understand why. Because again, money and resources won't do what we were looking for. We were hoping equality is one thing, right? Equality is one thing, self-knowledge is yet another. So I'm hoping this film will get us talking about which one we want and which one we prefer.
It is my hope that this film sparks, if nothing else, reflection, curiosity, and if necessary, some criticism of have we been too complacent, right? Have we been too reactive? Have we been too slow, right? And so if nothing else, we know there's this urgency of now. Now is the time for change. Now is the time to learn from not only history, but those who have come before us, even if before us was 4 years ago, those who've come before us, their stories, their experiences, their accomplishments, their setbacks can be useful for us as we figure out the way forward. I hope it sparks conversation. I don't have answers, right? I don't. We know what the problems are. I don't have solutions, but I think collectively there are a set of solutions out there, and we have to stop talking about the problems all the time, but determine what we can do, what common set of values do we have that we can pull together and work on ways to empower, uplift, and thrive together. So I hope that folks will have their own stroke of creative genius and decide, I think I want to do this thing, and just do it. Just do it, but do it for the greater good. What step will you take? That's what I want everyone to live with. Don't just watch this film and say, watch the film and decide, what am I going to do? So what step will you take?